April 8th, 2026. I'd like to welcome everybody that's here, whether on the committee or in the audience and online. No introductions. I think everybody knows everybody that's at the table on that. And if you would stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, could we have a roll call?
Of course. Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
Here.
Henrico County, Mr. Nelson. Is he online?
Here.
Sis? Okay.
Okay.
You mentioned it.
Great. Goochland County,
Here.
Mr. Winfrey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goochland County, Mr. Winfrey. New Kent County Chair Moyer.
Here.
City of Richmond, Mayor Wula.
Here.
Commonwealth Transportation Board, Mr. David.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Bill. We need to do a confirmation of members that are participating remotely. Requested action is motion to confirm that the chair's decision to approve or disapprove the member's request to participate from a remote location was in conformance with policy for meetings held through electric communication means during declared states of emergency or otherwise, and the voice of the remotely participant member can be heard by all persons at the primary or central meeting location.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the chair's decision.
Approval, second, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Good to hear from you, Reverend Nelson.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Next is consideration of amendments to the meeting agenda, and Mr. Parsons will give us an idea of some of the changes we're going to have in the agenda.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We did have a request from GRTC to push items B2 and B3 to our May meeting. Ms. Torres is here.
We're okay. I didn't realize that you had been okay with that.
I think that's fine. I mean, I think the reason for the request is that there's still discussion of the regional transportation plan at the TPO level. So the TAC is still talking about that, and part of the requirements for the CVTA is that GRTC and the TPO get together and make sure that everybody's on the same page for the regional plan, and then it comes to the CVTA for consideration.
Are you all set with that?
Yeah, that works.
Good. Look,
I need a motion for that.
is that the only change?
Yes, sir. B2
B
and
and B2 and
And make a motion to accept the amended agenda to remove B2 and B3 and defer them to the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Aye.
much. That change has been done. Next is the approval for March 11, 2026 meeting minutes. This is the March 11th meeting, not the late February one. It's March 11th. So any questions, revisions, or punctuation changes? If not,
As for approval?
I have a motion second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The minutes are approved for March 11th. Next is the open public comment period. If there's anybody here that would like to make a comment or that is online, please either come to the table or make yourself known by let me hear you from online. Nobody? Let's go twice. Thank you very much. That's the end of the public comment period. The next is Finance Committee Chair's report. Couple things. One, we in the CVTA meeting, we could have spent the day on the airport's report, to us, everybody was really interested, I think, in everything that was about. But the one thing that really struck me of interest was when Mr. Miller talked about the foundation that the Capital Region Airport has for their TSA people and their employees. And I just wanted to mention that again, because that foundation, all of us should, think about, sending a check out there to that, because that's, we don't, in our news coverage of what's going on with TSA and all that, we have to go outside the area to find an airport that's crowded, because ours isn't. And so I know how when we travel, I'm never thinking about Richmond. It's where am I going to be coming back from? And that's, we don't have that concern here. So appreciate that. So I appreciated Mr. Miller bringing that up. The other thing is every week, at least, I see an article that CVTA is mentioned, whether it's, the bridge on Arthur Ashe, or whatever it is, the GRTC. So we are getting some press coverage in that, and we're getting noticed, and we would like to see even more, to show off what is being done. And one of the things that we've gotten the attention of is a chamber RDA, and in the intercity visit coming up in May, Mr. Parsons is going to be moderator for one of the workshops that they called on him to do because of what we're doing in transportation. And it's also something that, some of us are going out there to learn what Phoenix has done with their transportation. So we'll be able to bring back maybe some ideas, some things that will be, important for our situation. And I had a little town meeting, my district, and I mentioned to Mr. Direct said, it got kind of a little sabotaged by some outside groups, of my district, other people in the county. But one of the things that I did mention in that was the roundabout that is being done at Dispatch and New Kent Highway, and that 3.5 million is coming from the revenue sharing from VDOT, and 3.5 is coming as a regional project from CVTA. And I don't get a standing ovation too often, but they were thrilled when the next comment was, that means there'll be no money coming from taxpayers. So, I didn't get the standing ovation, CVTA did. So we just showing the appreciation that we have in thinking of us as part of the region, that's for sure. Next is CVTA activities report, Mr. Parsons.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick update on the financial activities and investment report. The packet, page 10, is our green table with the latest monthly information. Just the things I would highlight here are the bottom left corner, the interest income commitments. We are now tracking in this spreadsheet every month the tally of all of the uses and commitments that the CVTA has made for just the interest income on the regional fund. It does now include the 10.4 million for the Diamond District Phase 1A transportation improvements that was approved this past fall. And we still have an available balance of 8.7 million in the interest income. We are watching that obviously because of current rates and the returns that we're getting on investments in LGIP and kind of making sure that those continue to provide some positive numbers. That information is reflected on the next page, on page 11. And the highlights there are the same as previous months, mentioning that the Fed has lowered rates 3 times in 2025. The interest earnings are primarily due to the increased balance in the portfolio, not particularly the rates. And then we are still, this portfolio is outperforming the yield benchmarks, but we are lagging year over year due to several high yielding investments such as certificates of deposit that have matured and are not an attractive option at this point. But we are continuing to work with our fiscal agent to make sure that we are ready to move forward. And I will have an update probably next month, for the finance committee on status of a tool that we've been developing, for back office use, with PFM that, gives us a better snapshot at any given time of what our fluidity is and available dollars to reinvest, when those options are presented. So I know that's something the finance committee has asked for previously, and I'm excited about that. I saw a quick draft demo yesterday from Christy Choi, and we're looking forward to being able to talk about that hopefully next month. I think that's it for the update, and I did want to provide an update on the TAC activities report. This is one of those months where TAC meets after finance committee, so we do not have a TAC.
Okay. Oh, we understand that. Couple things about the green table, the green chart, that I've noticed this time, and probably has been that way in the past. But not only do we have a date at the top of when it was recorded, but when the activity occurred is another. So it, like this past one is November tax activity, and that was reported in February. It coincides, I think, with why the activity changes somewhat. It looks like there was Christmas shopping in Henrico. They had a $600,000 increase, and we dropped, and so which means ours comes a lot from gas tax versus I would think Henrico is a lot from the sales tax. Notice that, and also when it comes down to return on investment, as this dollar amount in reserve that we have, this 8.7 in interest money, to think about return on investment, if a project is done today, it's probably going to cost 10% less than it will a year from now. You know, that's another interest investment thing we have to think about when, you know, versus a 3% savings amount. Maybe we're costing us money by not using it. So just an idea when it comes to that. And that's it. Go ahead. TAC was okay. Anything else?
Unless there are other questions from the committee.
Anything else? You want to say anything, Mayor? You're the Vice Chair, you want to tell us a little bit about last night? Just to report on that.
Yeah, no, as I was saying, great night for the region. I mean, it was not only a beautiful night for baseball, but also just to see the entire Richmond region out. Sellout crowd last night, tonight. The park is beautiful. And as I shared with you all via email, if there's any time you guys want to come out and be a part of the city EDA suite over there, we'd love to have you. But yeah, the Squirrels both pulled out a win, but it was just like there were people lined up 2 hours ahead of time, and I think just to be in the park, the concourse is beautiful. There's a lot of public art that was really like worked into the design of it. A lot of design elements of the park itself really kind of paying homage to Richmond's history, rail history. Like it's an awesome amenity for our region. So,
Congratulations. That's great. That's very good. Let's go to other business. Okay.
Yes, sir. The main order of business this morning is to review both FY 26 and 27 operating budgets. We do have two separate actions, which I tried to capture in the staff report, which is on page 12 in your packet. Just the background, as part of our duties prescribed by the Code of Virginia, the CVTA is required to develop an annual budget for operating expenses, and the italicized section there is the code language that lays that out. We do have two separate items for consideration today, and we can handle this however you would like, Mr. Chair. The first item is relating to our current FY 26 budget. There are two administrative adjustments that we would like concurrence on. The first is to include an indirect rate on CVTA staff labor. This addition is only for FY 2026 forward, and it supports, different expenses that will be captured under the indirect category. like rent, and those kinds of things. Previously, we've been made aware with the conversion to our new financial management, platform that the staff labor, was not, assessed this indirect rate that the rest of our expenses have been. And we want to just make that right, because the code does say that, or the bylaws and the MOU with Plan RVA recognizes a 10% administrative fee. That is the second administrative adjustment, would be to assess that 10% fee on the salaries of the CVTA executive director and executive assistant. That has also not been covered in the past. And the goal here is to make it right, starting in FY26 moving forward. With that item 1, you can see on page 14 what that would look like in terms of the different budget line items and where those changes would be. The goal here is not to increase the budget for the current year. The goal here is to make the necessary administrative shifts so that that indirect rate and the 10% administrative fee are covered. And we can do that with the adopted budget we have. So there is no net growth in the budget for FY26. That is something that we can capture by making adjustments among the different line items. And I'd be certainly happy to take questions on that. Do we want to discuss that item first, or do you want me to go through FY27?
Let's discuss that and then vote on that, and then we'll do the next one, okay?
I will say Ms. Shepherd is here
Okay.
and can provide all the expert corrections that I may have omitted.
So just to understand, it looks like it's a reduction. Is that right? In the administrative, in other words, before you were getting billed 10% because you were falling under Plan RVA. Is that right? And now you're not. What's the difference here?
There's 2 parts to it.
Mhm.
So we're proposing the first piece, which is applying the Plan RVA indirect rate against the compensation costs of the staff exclusively supporting CVTA, so Chet and Mo. We had not previously been applying the indirect rate to the administration of those costs. That's in alignment with how we apply the indirect rate to Plan RVA staff, providing support both to CVTA, but any other grant that we work on. The second piece, we took a look at the MOU and realized that the MOU directs that a 10% service fee be applied to all costs supporting CVTA. And we had not been applying that 10% rate against the compensation costs of Chet and Mo. So we're proposing 2 pieces, both applying that indirect rate and applying the 10% rate service fee, which is in alignment with the MOU.
And this is a service fee because you're processing their pay? Is that?
Yes,
Is their pay's coming out of the CVTA's budget?
correct. All the direct expenses are paid for and covered by CVTA. That's not changing. It's just the administration.
So basically, it's administrative cost of processing their salary and compensation.
Correct. So that's really that 10% fee. The indirect rate covers things like the rent for the space, the conference room space to hold public meetings, the back office services support, so payroll and benefits administration, all of that. Yes.
I just want to make sure we said that,
Okay.
so that if anybody's having trouble sleeping and they decide to watch our video, they will understand what we're talking about. If you talk only in these technical terms, the average Joe's gonna go,
Right.
What?
And then, and all these are covered in the memorandum of understanding
Right.
between the 2 agencies for Plan RVA to support CVTA and all that it does.
I have no problem with it, but we need to explain it so that if someone is actually watching, they'll go, what?
Absolutely.
So they understand what it is, and they still might not, but at least we gave an explanation.
Gave it a shot.
Yep.
Yeah, and all that, Plan RVA and CVTA have a great partnership.
No question.
There's no suggestion of ill intent here. As I've talked through.
We're trying to do it right.
Yeah.
Trying
Makes perfect sense to me.
Sure.
We need to make sure we explain it, that's all.
Good question.
If there are no more questions, we can possibly get a motion on the
Was there
A.
something else that was an adjustment that you wanted to go over next?
Yeah,
Why don't we vote it all one time?
let's put it in one. Why don't we put it in one thing? Okay, why don't you tell us about 27? Okay.
Do that.
Very
Sure.
good, Mr. Park.
Okay, so the next item is the proposed FY 27 budget, which would start July 1 of this current year. It is consistent with the FY 2026 budget. We are prepared to hold a public hearing on the budget, which you all recommended last month. That will be at the next full authority meeting on April 24th. The draft budget is laid out on page 15. So you can see the splits among the different line items. Some of the highlights that are not shown on that simplified chart. It includes indirect support and office space with CVTA staff rates, which is what Ms. Shepherd just highlighted. Plan RVA contracted staff is now shown separately under, I believe it's under direct service Plan RVA staff. So we can now see what the expenses are for support from Plan RVA staff as opposed to the two direct salaries that CVTA is paying. It includes professional services for the coming fiscal year, including this financial dashboard development that I just mentioned to you about available cash balance. And then we also want to continue to include in the budget the necessary fees that might support bond validation if we get to a point in FY 27 where we're ready to do that. A couple other items. This is on page 13. It includes professional development for both the executive director and the executive assistant. Includes development of public engagement tools, including a regional project citizens guide. This is something that we have we're working on right now to solicit bids on, is to develop a citizens guide, essentially for someone who has no idea what CVTA does. They can pick this up, and it's going to be a mix of graphics and data explaining all 70 regional projects that the CVTA currently has supported, and provide graphics, the location map, et cetera, details on these kinds of things that we can provide for the general public to understand better what the CVTA does. So that's in the budget for next year. And then finally, this 10% managed services fee for Plan RVA across the board. So it makes the MOU whole. With that, the budget does grow slightly from the existing budget, about $200,000. But again, it contains those specific highlights that I just mentioned, including bond support if the authority moves in that direction this year. Be happy to take any questions. We do have two separate types of actions. One is approving administrative adjustment for the current budget, and then the second is recommending full authority approval following the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the administrative adjustment. The only question I would have on that motion is because it's a financial adjustment, I don't think we can do a voice vote. I think we need to do roll call.
Yes, we listed that way. So,
Can I ask a
yes,
question first? We talked about what that 10% indirect would cover. It looks like it's represented on two different lines here. And so could you guys just clarify? So the managed services fee at the bottom is at 10%, right? That 115. Then at the top, there's the includes indirect support and office space that's built into the CVTA staff line.
So the indirect rate is really cost recovery. It's not a fee. It's not on top of the cost. The indirect rate really covers the costs of the rent, the payroll administration, additional true costs. It's cost recovery. The 10% service fee is on top of any costs. So they're separate, they're separately applied. And we're reflecting the indirect rate in that top row because it's applied directly to Chet and Mo's salaries. So they're two different rates.
And so the addition of what where we're trying to align with the MOU that we've signed is which part of that?
The 10%
The managed services.
is the managed service fee.
Okay, which we did, which was not a part of our budget last year.
It was not applied to Chet and Mo's
Yes,
compensation. Correct. It's a good question.
That makes it whole. So I have a motion.
One last thing on
Yes,
discussion on that.
go ahead.
The only thing I would say that would make this a little bit clearer is if we actually, I mean, this is a great summary, but it's not a line item, right? So if we're talking about a line item, for example, paying a portion of the rent because of a house here, a portion of the electric bill because of a house here, a portion of the internet bill because of a house here. I think something that's more detailed, at least for the finance committee members,
Yeah.
would be more appropriate in the future for us to be able to see. This summary's fine,
Yeah.
but we probably wouldn't ask these questions if we saw the number.
Right.
So,
Also, the increases would be understandable in certain areas that light up. Yes, Mr.
One
Davis.
question, Mr. Chair. As far as that cash flow back and forth, is it a monthly true up or a quarterly true up, or how does that work?
It's a monthly invoicing. So Plan RVA actually fronts the costs for CVTA. So any vendor payment, payroll, all of those things, Plan RVA is paying upfront and essentially floating for CVTA. And then Plan RVA invoices CVTA through Chesterfield counties, as one of the fiscal agents, and then those costs are reimbursed.
Thank you.
Glad we got some explanations.
Sure. Yeah, and as far as that, we can certainly provide a more detailed list of what those costs are. It is an indirect rate based on, so we aren't applying a percentage against, say, our rent bill every month. It's a pooled cost that goes through it goes through Plan RVA's audit, right? So in Plan RVA's audited financials, we go through an exercise of pooling all of those costs and then coming up with a rate. And it's actually, the rate is audited in one fiscal year, and then it is applied in the next fiscal year. So let me think through a good way of providing you a good detail to show you, because it's not that we are getting a rent bill every month and then applying a portion of it to CVTA by month, if that makes sense.
well, no, you have to calculate what our portion would be. So you look at what the overall rent is, you calculate a portion and you bill it.
Correct. We're doing that through that indirect
Right.
rate. Yes.
But I still think we should see the numbers.
Yes, happy to share some numbers. I'll put something together for
Great.
this group to see.
So just.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is
Davis.
something else. So is that rate variable depending on the workflow in Plan RVA? Could our contribution be more than if the workflow over in RVA is not as great, where we're having to push more in to cover? Or is it not done that way?
It's variable year over year. So we pool the costs of 1 year and then we apply that rate based on the expenses of CVTA. So CVTA gets a portion based on, in this case, Chet and Mo's salary. So we pool all the costs. So the cost of the rent, the cost of, those indirect salaries supporting CVTA. And then we come up with that rate and apply it based on CVTA's portion of it. So their compensation is a portion of the overall cost. So it's allocated based on their specific portion of
It's
funds.
independent of what's going on in Plan RVA. It's strictly related to CVTA.
The portion that's applied to CVTA is based on CVTA's expenses. Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll put something together for the next meeting to better visualize that.
Thank you, Michelle. Oh, so we do have one motion for the rural administrative adjustment. Do we have a second?
Second.
And if you would, Mo, could you call the roll?
Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll,
Yes,
Henrico County, Mr. Nelson,
I think he had to leave.
New Kent County Chair Moyer,
Aye.
City of Richmond Mayor Bullock.
Aye.
Commonwealth Transportation Board, Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Gregory just gave me a great clarifying point that I want to
Okay.
share. The application of that, if I may,
No, you may.
the application of that rate is how Plan RVA also operates under all of our federal grants. It's the same type of way that we allocate costs, that we pool costs and then allocate for any grant, any federal grant, any other grant that we have, that Plan RVA has. So it's not a one-off way of applying costs to a CVTA.
You're not creating us different.
CVTA and Plan RVA is how Plan RVA does business generally with other agencies, including federal agencies, with the money it receives for grants to fund those programs. So consistency.
That provides any additional comfort.
I don't doubt that. I just want to see the numbers.
Sure,
Yeah.
of course, yes.
But and to go along with just seeing the numbers, I think that's the next motion is to see the fiscal year 2027 administrative and operating budget. Do you have a motion for that to recommend to the full authority?
I move.
We have a motion for a second.
And I would say that have those documents ready for the full authority.
Full authority. I
Everybody
agree.
can see it.
I agree. Would you give us a roll call, please?
Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
Yep.
Enrico County, Mr. Nelson. New Kent County, Chair Moyer.
Aye.
City of Richmond, Mayor Bula.
Aye.
Commonwealth Transportation Board, Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. And we'll be taking that to the full committee meeting or the authority meeting at the end of the month. We're not having number 2 and number 3 of other business. So we move to number 4, and that's the CVTA Finance Committee member comments. Any comments? Mr. Carroll?
Mr. Chair, you knew I was going to have.
Of course, right. That's why I called.
So I felt bad I couldn't go to the game last night.
Yeah.
However,
But,
there's a reason why I wasn't there.
and,
So we have an incredible young lady in Chesterfield County named Kaylee Hodges. Kaylee plays on our Matoka women's softball team. And if you heard the introduction of this young lady last night, you would think it was some mythical individual they were talking about. And there's no way that she's had 6 shutouts already this year, or I think it was last year. No hitters, right? She's only a junior.
oh,
She was the Gatorade, we'll make sure I get it right. Banners, they gave a check last night to her of $1,000 that she presented to the Chesterfield Little League. So she took that money and put it back in the little
Oh.
kids who were playing. Besides batting 500, which was amazing.
pretty nice. Yeah.
Right, and she smacked the heck out of the ball last night. She's rated as the number 2 player in the United States. In the United States. She did an interview with Channel 6 last night. And I wanted to make sure I was there for her game and for the presentation.
Of course.
And she's only a junior. And she's absolutely, not only that, she has a 4.5 GPA in school. And she's just an amazing young lady. And parents, amazing people, just absolutely just tremendously proud of their daughter. And and I just so happens when the first time I got elected, their dugouts for the girls were terrible at Matoka High School. And they didn't even have an announcing booth as part of it. The scoreboard didn't work. So last year, found funds, new dugouts, new announcing tower, new sound system, new scoreboard. I mean, the field is tremendous. And the only thing I can think is God's like, hey, we're sending you someone pretty cool. You might get this place ready. And I was telling the parents last night, I was so happy that we were able to make this happen so that she's playing in right now, it's the nicest softball field in Chesterfield County, but she's just an absolutely amazing young lady. So that's why I wasn't there last night. I had to be there to witness history. She's just amazing. I mean, and I can tell you, I was watching her pitch last night.
Yeah.
I know I couldn't hit the ball, but I don't think Major League Baseball players can hit the ball. She was absolutely incredible.
Coming in quicker.
She's incredible. And so I look forward to seeing her progress, see what the rest of the season looks like for them, and even going on. They beat Dinwiddie last night. Shocker. It was like 5-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just an amazing lady. So if you watched there was an interview last night on Channel 6 News with her, you could see her on there if you're so inclined to do so. So that may not be as amazing as opening a new stadium.
It's pretty
But it
good.
was pretty amazing for Chesterfield County and for her and her family.
great.
So that's why I was not there.
Very good. And reason to be proud. Ms. Davis, can you top that? Or?
Cannot top that. That's a wonderful story. I cannot top that.
Yeah.
I would like to just give a quick update on Smart Scale pre-applications for round 7. 335 total pre-applications statewide. Okay, I'll run through the districts very quickly. I'll save ours for last. Bristol 15, Culpeper 22, Fredericksburg 40, Hampton Roads 36, Lynchburg 23, Northern Virginia 39, Salem 43, Stanton 33, Richmond 82.
Yes.
Twice the number of all the other districts. So,
Yes.
to the next.
We understand transportation, I believe.
We'll just keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully these are great pre-apps. They'll turn into apps and hopefully we can apply some of the CVTA leverage to get these things funded and hopefully Richmond will have a good outcome in round 7, keeping our fingers crossed. So, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. And the way you spelled that out, we do pre with regular, that great timeline is, we've seen that success in that in round 6.
Yeah.
So hopefully you see it in 7 too.
Yeah, they kind of, we had very robust conversation at the last CTV about the HPP money that was spent in the Richmond district. So there'll be some other folks around the state gunning for that money in round 7. So we'll have to do all we can to keep.
Good. Let us know what we can do.
Yep, thank you.
Mary, anything else?
Maybe just something to flag for you, Chet. The governor was in attendance last night, and I got a chance to chat with the first gentleman, who is very passionate about trails and very excited about Fall Line. We are organizing some kind of Fall Line kickoff in Richmond, but I want to make sure CVTA is a part of that. So let's just catch up. And I can't remember the date offhand, but I'd be like the 3rd week of April. But I'll find it and get it to you. Great, love to be there.
We're hoping to get the groundbreaking for ours. VDOT has not given us a date on that yet, but hopefully that will be shortly. Make sure everybody gets invited to that as well.
Yeah, let's get these dates, because it's, very important.
Everything fills up
Very,
quick.
very important. Yep. Yeah, the calendars do fill up, don't they? I don't have anything else. Next meeting is going to be May 13th at 9 a.m. right here. That's it. If I could have a motion to adjourn. Second. So moved. Everybody in agreement?
Aye.
Good. Aye. See ya.
My wife was taking longer to get here to this meeting.
Yeah.